Good evening. It is Thursday, November 17th, 2022, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker. I held it up for that one. I was like, Parker.
Well, that one's going to be a little awkward. I was trying to let the music run. The problem is I can't let the music run. It'll overdo the crowd. So you don't get the full...
Well, claps, yeah.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks.
I'd rather have the applause than the music.
Wouldn't we all? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So we're on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook. And I don't know how much longer we'll be on Twitter. We could talk about that for an hour. But we're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, which is www.lambsports.com. You can find links to the past shows, the current trivia question on the website. NFL Week 11 is coming up this weekend. And I still feel like we don't know anything about anything. I mean, maybe a little bit about a couple teams, but we're going to talk about the Eagles. We're going to talk about the Vikings. The Buffalo Bills. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know anything. Do you know? Have you got it figured out?
Figured out? Absolutely not. Do I know something? Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to pick your brain.
I know a couple things.
See what you know. Because I every time I think I know what I think I know, it's not right. It's not true. Oregon Ducks blow their opportunity at a college football playoff bid. We're talking about that. We're going to talk about the 10-4 Portland Trailblazers, who are taking on the Brooklyn Nets this evening, leading the Western Conference. And who would have thunk that at this point? Not me. We're going to talk a little bit about Formula One. Well, not a little bit. We're going to talk a lot about Formula One. There's drama in Formula One. There wasn't drama all year. And now there's drama.
It was a pretty boring year.
Yeah, but now it's exciting. This is what we've been waiting for, apparently. The last couple of races, when everything's all decided, that's when the drama comes out. So, who knew? Let's do this. First segment of the show, brought to you by The Range in Yakima. And you know what? It helps if you click the right buttons. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination. At 34,000 square feet, The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. That's The Range. Educate, equip, and empower. Formula One was in Brazil for the next to last race of the year. Mercedes comes out of this one looking pretty good. As they finished 1-2, George Russell won and Lewis Hamilton finished second. It was Russell's first Formula One victory. So congratulations to George Russell. So there was a collision at one point between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, and all of a sudden we got thrown back a year.
Just like good old times.
The time machine just goes whoop. Hey, is this 2021? And it brought back all of the championship battle from last year. I mean, it was just like immediate. And you knew there was going to be, the two different sides to it. Hey, he pushed me out. Hey, he is a bad driver. He's, that was coming. But, Max ended up getting the penalty for it. Probably rightly so. But it's hard to say on that corner. I mean, I don't know. You saw the race?
Yeah.
You saw that collision?
Mm.
Your impression of it in terms of who is right and who is wrong is?
It's the problem. So the problem with Formula One
yeah,
is that there's this fictitious thing called a racing line. It's not drawn on the course. So you have to imagine it, folks. Mm-hmm. And this is the best, most optimal path around the course, that if you do everything right and stay on this line, you will provide the best lap time possible. Things happen here and there, you end up off of it. At any given point, through any given turn, somebody is closer to a racing line than somebody else, right? Not to say that they're on it, dead on it, but that they're closer to it than someone else. And somebody is not. And with that in mind, I think in this instance, Max Verstappen was not on the racing line. He would have had to put a hell of a braking situation on. If Lewis backs out and Max takes the corner, he's essentially going like a straight line into like a 90-degree angle where he was on the track, because his tires were touching the grass and the bumpers on the right side. And it's coming back. It's a hook.
Right.
So he is in line going to go straight off the track.
Sure.
So he's already in a funky situation, not what you would refer to as the racing line, not what you would refer to as a good driving pattern. But he's trying to make a very deliberate move here. He's trying to do a very specific thing, a thing that he talks about after the race, which I'm sure you're gonna talk about here in a second. A thing that he talks about after the race that we all know he's trying to do, that a lot of drivers try and do, but most drivers don't do the same way. Most drivers don't flirt with it the same way. So I would say that a couple years ago, he tried to take the inside on somebody, on Ocon, on Esteban Ocon. Or sorry, Esteban Ocon tried to take the inside on him in the same corner at Interlagos. And Esteban Ocon got punished, and Max said that was fair. So we'll just live on Max's words.
So here's just to play devil's advocate. If you come around the first turn, this was turn 2, by the way.
Turn 2, yeah.
Yeah, so coming around turn 1, Max is in the lead. He's ahead of Lewis.
Right.
Okay. That being said, he left Lewis. Lewis was on the inside of that corner. So he left Lewis room to come around that corner. Didn't force him off the track on the inside. He's in the lead. No. And so now he's on the outside of Lewis Hamilton around turn 1, but now he has to be on the inside.
Yeah.
So what are his options at that point? Because he's not on the racing line, but he's ahead.
His options were to not let Lewis take the lead there.
Well,
keep the proper spot.
So he was still ahead until about it wasn't more than a few yards from the corner when you could see him brake, because you see Lewis pull ahead by a nose.
Yeah.
So he made the decision to brake at some point, or take his foot off the gas. He probably didn't brake, but he probably took his foot off the gas and then said, "Screw it, I'm going."
Yeah.
Which is exactly, he said, I'm gonna go, because he didn't leave me any room.
Right.
All of that being said, how do you race that way if you're going to be ahead and be on the outside and let someone have the inside corner on one turn, and they don't do the same thing for you on the second turn? How do you race like that? It's got to be turnabout is fair, right? If I didn't push you off of turn 1, cut inside and push you off, how are you going to push me off of turn 2? So I feel like that's a thing. Now, that being said, you're absolutely right. He could have avoided the collision and just slowed down. He didn't, because that's not his style, obviously.
Yeah, he talked about that later. Yeah,
but none of them have that style.
Well, so since this whole event, people have been putting together just super clips, like massive 30-minute video compilations of the amount of times other people have backed out for Max Verstappen in corners. It's incredible. Max Verstappen has a massive propensity for squeezing people out. Everyone does. Yeah. Everyone squeezes you in a corner. That's standard practice.
Especially at the beginning of the race.
Especially at the beginning of the race, when you're trying to establish yourself and you're trying to, create a line. Yeah. Everyone squeezes. That is not the uncommon practice here. Why Max let Lewis get past him there? Beyond me. Yeah. Beyond most people. All right. That is, I would probably argue that was a conversation that what were you doing, man? Like, why did that happen? Was Lewis just that much faster at that moment? I don't believe that crap. Not for a minute. So what was going through your head? Why'd you let him through? Yeah. Because he let him through with quite a bit of room. I feel like Max could have kept that position.
I would have said that because he knew that he didn't have that racing line, he was slowing down.
Yeah. So but with that in mind, the squeezing at turn 2, that's everyone does it. But most people, when they try and dive in there, if they aren't going to get it, back out. Most 98% of corner attempts where you don't have it, you back out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've watched these giant supercuts all weekend from the last 2 years of racing where people just back out.
Yeah.
It's not hard. People do it all the time. And some of those people still go on to pass those people at other points.
Yeah.
So it's not an uncommon thing. However, in a large chunk of the wrecks over the last 4 years, it is Max Verstappen shoving his nose in there and saying, you know what? Either I get it or see what happens. Sometimes it's other people. I think once it was a couple times it's been Lance Stroll stuck his nose into a place where it shouldn't have been.
He's always doing that.
And yeah, I know. Nicholas Latifi's done it a couple times.
Yeah,
Lewis Hamilton had Silverstone last year.
Sure.
So there have been other times where it's happened.
Right.
But it seems like a common trend for Max.
Well,
and then after the race, he goes on to say, you know, I didn't feel like I had enough room, but we said he tried. And it cost Lewis a win, cost me 5 seconds. Didn't hurt my race much.
No, because he's already won everything.
Well, he knew he didn't. But that is that's a dangerous attitude to have.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty cavalier, but also, and so on the one hand, you want to say like maybe he just doesn't have good English. Maybe he's not quite sure what he's saying there. Maybe he means it like this, but he's saying it like that. The actions and then eventually the words, it starts to add up.
Yeah. Yeah,
but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Max Verstappen shouldn't have been driving this freaking car anyways. Put in your backups.
Yeah, there was no real reason for him to be.
Let's have the other guys super license points.
Right, and so let's talk about other things then, because we talk about other than that. So more importantly than that, at the end of the race, Verstappen is given team orders to let Sergio Perez through so he could gain some extra points, and probably only like 2 extra points, but it's 2 extra points. In the race for second place, he's in a dead tie with Charles Leclerc for second place. Verstappen is 5th, and Perez is 6th, and he could have let him through, but he said, "I'm not doing that." He actually didn't even reply when they asked him. And then afterwards, they asked him what happened, and he said, "Well, I already told you don't ask that of me, and don't ask me again. And I gave you my reasons, and I'm sticking to it." Well, the common belief is that that's because of the Monaco qualifying,
right?
Where Perez is leading the qualifying, and then on the last lap, it's Verstappen's last lap. It's everybody's last lap. That was the end of the race, but end of the qualifying. But on the last lap, Perez crashes, and we're going to call it a crash. We're going to call it an accident, although some people are saying there may have been something to that. But anyway, he crashes and causes a red flag. So he gets the pole because he's the fastest qualifier, and no one else can finish their lap. So he's angry about that. But my question is to Max would be, if you're already the champion, that race is irrelevant,
right?
Isn't it? Or did you just want to win Monaco so badly that that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life?
Yeah,
I feel like winning the championship overall is more important than winning at Monaco, which we know is a traditionally hard place to win unless you're in the lead to begin with.
It pretty much is how you qualify.
Yeah,
is typically how you go. Yeah.
So it was weird. I mean, I that holding that grudge seems weird. So and then to boot, we kind of all agree that Verstappen needed help winning last year, and Perez was instrumental in helping him get the points he needed when he needed them to win the championship last year. Right. It makes him look like a bad teammate, although he says, "I've never been a bad teammate to anyone."
Did you watch that interview with him?
Yeah.
Where he says that? Do you see how he's, "I've never been a bad teammate."
Right. I mean,
he does it really slowly.
He's trying to think back to when he might have been a bad teammate.
He's like, crap. If I put this out there as a definitive, and when am I going to hear from? Oh yeah, last week.
Oh yeah, maybe I just was.
Just now, that just happened.
Anyway, and then there was the other Charles Leclerc begging, I mean literally begging over the radio, the team to have Carlos Sainz let him through to finish third so he could gain the extra points. And that one is, I think, a less. They didn't ask him to do it, and they shouldn't have. But Leclerc shouldn't have been asking that either. A podium place is something you earn from your action for the weekend, and Carlos Sainz doesn't have that many of them.
Right.
I know Charles Leclerc doesn't necessarily either. He's young. It's not like you asked Lewis Hamilton to give up third place. He might have done that. Because it's irrelevant to him at this point, right? But to ask a guy who's only got like 4 podium finishes to give up a podium finish so you can finish in the podium so you can get, 4 extra points is a stretch. And Ferrari, to their credit, didn't ask him, which was good, I think. But I think it's rude of Charles Leclerc just to ask, right?
Right.
So I feel like that's a different situation. Max was told to. He said no. Charles Leclerc was begging for them to tell Sainz to let him through.
Yeah.
So that's a different discussion, I guess. I don't really hold it against Charles Leclerc. He wants to win. I get it. But I would never ask my teammate who's on the podium to give that up. For me to finish second overall. If it was for first, that's different.
Well, and I guess what you're getting at here is Perez and Leclerc are fighting for second place.
Yeah.
They both have 290 points. So this helps either of them. If one person or the other allows them through, this helps either of them get a little more, have the lead there.
One race.
And now George Russell's at 265. He's right on his heels.
He's there. He's close.
It's going to be hard. He needs 35 points. No, actually he can't. There's no sprint race here.
No,
it's done. But it's not done between Perez and Leclerc.
Right.
So that's interesting. But Sainz is in sixth behind Lewis Hamilton.
Russell can finish second. He's 25 points back. He can finish second.
He's 25 points.
If Leclerc and Perez both put a do not finish up, he wins the race and posts the fastest lap. That's 26 points. He could be ahead of him by 1 point.
But you can't put that juju out there.
He's not,
because Ferrari will accommodate.
he's not mathematically eliminated, but I'm just saying it's out there.
But Sainz is also, he's on podium here. He's getting good points. He got 22 points out of this race. He's 6 points behind Lewis Hamilton
for fifth. Yeah, he's right there
for fifth. It's I don't know.
He can't move up. He can only move up into fifth. The fifth is the highest he can get. Hamilton could move up into fourth.
But still, it wouldn't have helped.
No, not really.
It would have just helped Leclerc.
Right.
That's it. And it would have helped Perez, but it wouldn't have hurt Max.
Yeah. Anyway. All of that is interesting. Also,
it's kind of all washy.
Haas this morning announces that Mick Schumacher will not be racing for them next year, and Nico Hülkenberg will be filling that seat alongside Kevin Magnussen for 2023.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. It's, I guess, not unexpected. Schumacher had some up and downs this year. Kevin Magnussen wins the pole at this race, largely thanks to some rain. But he won the pole for the sprint race, wasn't it? Yeah, he won the pole for the sprint race. It's his first, and they officially call that the pole. That's his first ever pole as an F1 driver. It's a big deal. And then promptly, Danny Ricciardo slams into him and he crashes. And
freaking Danny Ricciardo.
But he went over and apologized. If we could all be more like Danny Ricciardo and just go apologize when you do something wrong, the world is going to be a better place.
People are very bummed out because we're losing Sebastian Vettel and Danny Ricciardo.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Right.
And they're two of the most absolutely likable guys on the grid.
Yeah. Colorful. They're well spoken. They're good people, for one thing. You know what I mean? Who else but Sebastian Vettel is out there cleaning up garbage at the end of races from the fan, cleaning up the stands. He's the guy. So anyway, and then speaking of that, F1 is in Abu Dhabi next week for the last race of the season. It will be Sebastian Vettel's final race of his career. And then all of the seat shuffling. Seat shuffling. I can't speak. The seat shuffling begins.
Who's taking Vettel's seat? Do we know yet?
At Aston Martin?
Yeah.
It's I do know this. And I can't. Why?
Oh my gosh.
My head's not.
I know De Vrie's replacing, or not De Vrie. His name is replacing Ricardo.
Is it?
Oh, Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso, right? And
Fernando Alonso's moving
Gasly is replacing Alonso.
That sounds right.
At Alpine.
Sure.
I think that's right.
Which is it's a French brand, I think.
Well, yeah, they're going to have two French drivers with the French cars.
Wow.
Right. So Ocon and Gasly will be here.
Which means AlphaTauri needs a driver. Hey, I'm just saying, Schumacher and the AlphaTauri.
I think they're filling that though. They've got someone. They've got someone already in line for that seat. Hold on, I have it here somewhere. You're killing me. I was just.
Oh, it says all 20 seats have been filled.
Yeah, they're all filled. AlphaTauri is going to be
Magnussen, Hulkenberg. I got it's DeVries.
Yes, he's joining AlphaTauri. DeVries is joining AlphaTauri.
DeVries. So he's leaving Mercedes? Is that where he's at?
Who?
DeVries.
Oh, I don't know who he's the backup driver for now.
I think he's the backup driver for Mercedes.
Could be. That I don't know.
Oh, Piastri. That's right.
And then Logan Sargent goes to Williams, right?
Logan Sargent to Williams, Piastri to McLaren.
Yeah. But Piastri will be... Is he getting that? Yeah. So
yep.
There's a bunch of new drivers next year.
That's so cool.
Hulkenberg and Magnussen, by the way, have history. They're going to be teammates, but they've got a history. They crashed into each other and had some in 2017 Hungarian Grand Prix. They had a falling out, an incident. So they're going to have to get along as teammates now. It's going to be interesting.
I'm excited for Logan Sargent, American F1 driver.
Well, and they've been pumping up the commercials hard during the F1 things, and even on other broadcasts that you can see Williams Racing commercials. And I'm like,
I think Williams is a wreck, but
well, at least they're going to have an American. They're going to be able to pump up the American crowd. He's going to go to 3 races in America next year, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good for F1.
How do you feel about all the people who say that F1's getting like Americanized?
Well, maybe.
Do you think it's true?
Kind of.
There's still 19 drivers on the grid who are not American.
It's not getting Americanized so much as it is, I think this age group of people have different, this is going to sound as an old man, different values. They were raised differently. And
you can't even say that. All these,
they're all young.
Who's the poorest person on this grid? Who came from the poorest family?
That's not even the point. The point is that when they get to this point, they all think that they're the best driver in the world. Every one of them. There's 20 of them out there who think that they're the best driver in the world. They may not have the best car, but if you gave me the car that the best car, the winning car had, I could do the same thing. They all believe that. And otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And so they all have this attitude of, I'm the best driver in the world, and don't screw with me. And it becomes a very impatient group of people that the younger people, our younger society, doesn't have any patience because they've never had to wait for anything. I'm just going to say that as a group. You don't have to wait for anything. You got instant access to information. You got instant access to food.
All provided to us courtesy of our parents.
Well, I didn't do that. So.
Well, no. Well, maybe not you necessarily, but your generation did.
Sure.
Your generation invented the microchips that power our cell phones.
Oh,
you put the technology in our pockets, and now, that's dark. We can go down an economics tangent if we want about.
Eventually, we got to save that for off season.
But what I'm getting at here is that you're right. The same thing as NFL, NBA. When you get to this level, you think you're the best. You compete. Blah blah blah. You have attitudes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But there's an extra level to this. Half your NFL players came from nothing. More than half, 3/4 of them.
Sure.
3/4 of your NBA players came from nothing. Even your soccer players are pretty widely varied, and most of them didn't come from a lot.
Yeah.
Every one of your Formula One drivers comes from $1 million background.
Yeah, they're pretty spoiled.
Lewis Hamilton and what's his name? Who am I thinking of? Lance Stroll when he was a kid?
I don't know.
Like a kid. Like he was a little kid, but once he got to be a teenager, his dad was already making his money. But like Logan Sargent, his dad's a energy magnet.
Yeah.
Like he's coming in. I don't know about this DeVries guy, but I'm gonna just go ahead and guess.
Yeah, they come. You got it. It's not a sport.
It's not cheap.
You get into when you're poor, just because it costs so much money to have a cart to go when you're young to go racing.
Absolutely.
And tires and fuel and travel, and you got to have a trailer to haul everything, and your dad or your mom is your pit crew probably when you start, and who knows. But anyway, yeah. So
and his dad was Hendrik Jan de Vries. That's his dad.
Yes, that was awesome.
I figured you needed to know that.
Let's. I don't know that I did. We'll talk more about Formula One. There's not next week, but it's the week after. So I said next weekend, but I mean the weekend after this coming weekend. So it's the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it next week. But let's get to the trivia question real quick. Are you ready?
Yep.
Right. So trivia question is going to be exciting. We are going to talk about the World Cup, which is in Qatar or Qatar. You pronounce it how you want.
Are you ready for this one? I looked up a cure on that real quick.
Yeah.
Which says to properly pronounce Qatar, one has to realize that not one of the three consonants exists in standard English. This person goes on to explain that basically it said the local pronunciation sometimes is like guitar, like Gitar, which is a whole nother thing. But pretty much they're saying that you can say Qatar or Qatar, or Qatar. Yeah. And that's either one is socially acceptable.
Okay.
But so, neither one is
right. Officially correct. All right. I'm going to keep calling it Qatar. It's easier to say. I don't have to go out of my way to say Qatar. It's harder to say. I mean, it requires more muscles.
It sounds cooler though.
Yeah, okay. All right, so World Cup is going to start on Sunday. The host nation, which is what?
Qatar.
It's gonna be playing on Sunday. The host nation always opens up the tournament. So the United States is in Group B. And they're playing on Tuesday, the 22nd. That's their opening match. And they'll play Wales, by the way. But anyway, let's talk. The trivia question comes from soccer. So you're ready? Because it's a soccer one. It's going to be interesting. This is easy. I just need a number. What's the record for goals scored by a team in an international competition match? This happened in 2001 in World Cup qualifying. So what's the record for goals scored by one team in a match?
In a single match?
In a single match. One match.
Oh, okay.
So it should be easy. Just got to come up with a number.
11.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you at the end. Well, there you go. Solved. Mission accomplished. We got that. That's out of the
way. I hope that's right.
Let's talk about the NFL for a minute or 10. Because we've got a couple of things to talk about. Let's talk about the Vikings-Bills. Game of the year so far in the NFL.
Jeez.
If you didn't watch the last 5 minutes, you missed probably the most exciting 5 minutes of football that I can remember. Last year's Chiefs-Bills game that went into overtime was right there, but it's probably second compared to what happened in this game. Briefly, let me take you through it. Vikings win this one 33-30 in overtime. The Buffalo looked like they were going to dominate this game. Their 27-10 lead late in the third quarter after a Tyler Bass field goal. At the kickoff, they kick the ball off. Dalvin Cook from Minnesota takes the first handoff, goes 81 yards for a touchdown. Right? So it's 27-17, but we're still third quarter, right? Buffalo gets the ball back. They go 67 yards on 13 plays. Now we're now in the fourth quarter, right? Only to have Josh Allen get intercepted by Patrick Peterson in the end zone. Right? So they march all the way down. They get in the end zone. He throws an interception. Vikings then put together their own 13-play drive that ends in a C.J. Ham 3-yard TD run. Only problem is kicker Greg Joseph from Minnesota forgets how to kick a point after touchdown, doinks it off the upright. It's now 27-23 Buffalo. 4:34 left after all this time has gone by. Right? Because these are two gigantically long drives. There's 4:34 left. Buffalo comes out and throws on every down, but goes 3 and out. And only uses 1:08, right? Leaving 3:26 on the clock after the punt, right? That's when the chaos begins, really. On the ensuing drive, Vikings facing 4th and 18 on their own 27 with 2 minutes left. Kirk Cousins throws into double coverage, and somehow or other, Justin Jefferson pulls a one-handed catch away from the Bills' Cam Lewis, who has 2 hands on the ball. And there's a picture right here. I mean, he literally has the ball. Jefferson falling down, he's vertical or horizontal, yanks the ball out of his hands somehow, comes away with the ball. It's probably the best catch I've ever seen.
They sent the gloves and the arm sleeve from the catch went to the Hall of Fame today.
Yeah, it's probably the best catch I've ever seen. I've watched football a long time.
It's funny because Odell had the best catch I'd ever seen.
The one-handed thing?
Yeah, because that extension, the foot being down in bounds, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But to do a lot of those similar things while the other person is pulling on the football the opposite way.
You can see in this picture, right? He's only about a foot off the ground. Yeah. Maybe less. With his arm on the ground. He still doesn't have, the other guy still is just now losing grip with one hand.
Yeah.
Lewis is still, I mean, he's still right there. He should still have this ball. He didn't.
If you showed me this picture like 4 or 5 different times and I didn't know what happened, I would have thought that's either a pick or an incomplete. One of the two.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
they're both fighting over it. He probably pops it away or something. So,
all right.
It's incredible.
Next pass play goes to Adam Thielen. Right? He gets slung to the ground after the catch. And there's a penalty flag. Rightly so. They threw him down out of bounds, unnecessary roughness. They get 15 extra yards. Now Minnesota's now at the Buffalo 32, minute 24 left. Minnesota gets to 1st and goal at the 3. Cousins gets stepped on by the right guard as he takes the snap. He falls down, loses 3 yards, right? Then there's an incomplete pass, and then a pass complete to Jefferson for what looks like a touchdown. They review it. He's short, right?
Right.
It's 4th and goal at the 1 with 57 seconds left, right? Buffalo's been using all their timeouts because they realize if Minnesota scores, we're going to need the time. Next play is a quarterback sneak, right? And Cousins, right, is short. He slides off the pile and he's just short. He can't get off the pile. He literally stuck behind the guys. He tried to slide off. He's short. So they turn the ball over on downs at like the 6-inch line. Buffalo takes over. Next play on their, they're going to quarterback sneak it, right? Trying to get some room. We got to get it out of the end zone, right? Except Josh Allen forgets to take the ball with him. And so as a turnover, Minnesota's Eric Kendricks, laying at the bottom of all this nonsense that's going on, sees, hey, there's the ball. Reaches in and grabs it. Minnesota scores a touchdown, right? All of a sudden, they're ahead, right? So it's 30-27, Buffalo with 39 seconds left. Or not Buffalo, Minnesota. Minnesota's got the lead. But the Bills take the kickoff. Allen hits 4 straight passes. Each time they get out of bounds. So it's poor defense by Minnesota, right? They pass interference play later, gets them down to the 25-yard line of Minnesota. They kick a field goal with 2 seconds left, send it in overtime. Minnesota on the first overtime possession gets to the Buffalo 2, where they promptly go backward, right? And end up setting up for a Joseph 33-yard field goal to take the lead. They get it. Buffalo comes right back down the field, and it looks like Minnesota is helpless to stop them. Josh Allen runs like 3 times, right? And eventually, 2nd down and 10 on the Minnesota 20, Allen fires into the end zone. He's looking for Gabe Davis in the end zone, and he gets picked up by Patrick Peterson again. And the game's over. It was a comedy of errors that led to this position, this game, but it was so entertaining to watch. Like, every play was reviewed, which took like 6 hours.
That's true. Yeah, it was a long, drawn out into the game. But on the plus side, though, it was like an error followed by a great play.
Yeah, there was enough really
there was
great
a fumble
plays
by Josh Allen, and then an excellent recovery by Minnesota.
There was a bunch of great plays but a lot of missed extra point. There's a fumble snap. There's a pass interference call. There's a roughing or an unnecessary roughness call. All of that led to this whole thing. And there was just enough sprinkles of Justin Jefferson catching a football crazy. Josh Allen running like you can't stop him. Patrick Peterson with his 2nd interception. And by the way, there's the picture of the football that Josh Allen forgot to take with him. It's just laid on the ground. Is that
the guy who recovered it?
No. He's on the other side of this pile, and he falls down like where Josh Allen is, just underneath him, and then reaches in and says, "Oh, there's the ball," and takes it. Kendrick, if you guys don't want this, are you eating that?
Just the fear of like shoving your arm into a pile of falling NFL bodies, like. I feel pretty confident that I got strong bones, but I don't know if I'm that confident.
Let's forget the face mask that number 60 whatever is pulling on.
I'm seeing that right here. Yeah.
Let's just forget that part.
Giving him the business.
Yeah. It was a great football game to watch, and there's Josh Allen trying to take it. That's what was supposed to happen. It was supposed to look like it did look like that for about a second, and then it didn't. And
I thought he just didn't get it. The way that the camera initially was set just looked like he didn't get it.
Oh, my gosh. But it was a great football game. It was one of the best endings to a football game I've ever seen. And that catch was ridiculous. It was just stupid good. So quickly over the rest of the games. Panthers 25-15 over the Falcons. Dante Foreman with 31 carries, 131 yards and a touchdown. Marcus Mariota was 19 of 30, 186 and 2 touchdowns for Atlanta. But Atlanta is struggling now to beat anybody. And I thought the Panthers were terrible. But Dante Foreman gives them a different feel. If they can, any team that's bad, if you've got a running back that you can start controlling the offensive line, you can start running the football. You got a chance in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, you just do. It's hard to shut down the run. When a team is running well, it's really hard to stop that. You have to commit so much to it that the pass opens up. And that's even on your third string quarterback. Who is that? PJ Walker? Whatever. So just fun. It's fun to watch. Buccaneers 21, Seahawks 16 from Germany. Down 21-3. Seattle scores twice in the fourth to make it close, but Tampa Bay ran out the last 4 minutes on the last drive to win. Seattle couldn't stop them. So first win in Munich for anybody ever for the NFL.
Do you think that when they announced the schedule this year, Tom and Giselle were like, "All right, let's go see your parents. We'll hang out."
They took the whole Brady Bunchen over there, and
then Brady Bunchen. I never heard that before. That's pretty good. And then they get there, and then all that stuff goes down, and Tom has to land in Munich and find a different hotel to stay at.
I was gonna stay at your parents, but yeah, it's not so much. I don't know. I don't know about that Tom Giselle thing, but now that it's over, I think he's playing better football. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it's because the distractions are gone. You got to lose the dead weight.
Yeah, I mean, dead weight. Sorry, babe, you're killing me.
Kids and wife, cut them off. It's football time.
It is football season.
They don't get it. They don't deserve to get it. There is a nice Boston girl out there somewhere who will leave Tom alone for 5 months out of the year.
I think
we'll completely get it.
I think there's more than just Boston girls that would do that for Tom.
There's a Tampa girl out there.
I mean, yeah, probably, but you want that girl with a nice Boston accent.
It's a nice Boston girl, yeah.
Right? Your cousin from Boston. Anyway, so Buccaneers 21-16 or 21-16 over the Seahawks. We had the Lions winning their third game of the year. And who'd they beat? Well, it was the Bears. But it was 31-30. Lions scored 21 points in the fourth to win their third game. Justin Fields looked good, actually. I mean, running the ball.
He started running the ball.
Yeah. That's all he can really do. Let's be honest. He's a good runner.
Let Justin cook.
I think you got to split him out and put another quarterback in. Let him run down the field and get open, or hand him the football in a reverse or whatnot. But hey, what do I know?
You're talking about Taysom Fields?
I mean, you got to get me some fantasy points somehow, dude.
Yeah.
It's not throwing for sure. Titans 17, Broncos 10. Offensive struggles continue for Russell Wilson and the Broncos. They led 10-0 early, and then couldn't after that. just gave up. So we can't score no more. Sorry.
Just like
it's over.
18 points.
I mean,
if we could score 18 points a game, we are 7-2. 18 points.
You got 10. You better like it. You better enjoy it.
My goodness. Did you watch that video I sent you of Kurt Warner?
I did.
Isn't he great?
Warner
breaks down these plays and stuff.
So we just need a booth full of, and I personally like Joe Buck's voice, but because it's pleasing. But if you had Joe Buck, Kurt Warner, and Tony Romo in the booth, oh man,
yeah, and just Joe Buck is there to moderate,
just to keep it moving along,
spot,
yeah,
because I watched that video. I watched the one he did earlier this year that I sent you, where he was talking about elite plays people making, and again he talks about the same thing here, and it just emphasizes what I'm saying, which is that the Broncos don't have a personnel issue that much. They don't really. I mean, they don't have a running game right now. That's kind of killing them. Javonte Williams getting hurt was an absolute backbreaker, and Melvin Gordon's having a not so great year carrying the ball. So DeMarco Murray's now trying to fill that role, and he's a little older, so it is what it is. But they don't have a running game, so you got to lean on the passing game. But they're making these passing plays that are just they're just okay.
we could talk about the terrible Broncos all day.
But we could. We should though. Should we want to do the tune on into to Broncos talk?
Broncos. It's no big whoop. We'll talk about. We'll have coffee. We'll talk about the Broncos.
So I was in Denver this past week, just so everyone knows. And while I was there was a constant theme, which was anytime somebody said Broncos country to me, I had to say let's ride, and if I didn't, I had to drink. So
how much drinking did you do?
Not as much as you might
saying
think.
It. Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Well, that's right.
It would just I'd be in the middle of a store or a restaurant, and somebody would be like Broncos country, and I'd be like,
let's
ride.
Let's putter around at sort of medium speed.
AJ's got a video of me doing high knees on the plane saying Broncos. That's right. I just stood up next to the
You
seat.
take your shirt off, put the gold chains on too, because that's a whole different team. But
you gotta win to do that, though.
Yeah, you do. You have to win for that.
You have to win to do that.
Well, next time the Broncos win, you should do that.
Do you like that? Do you think that that's a fun thing?
Absolutely not. I think that's stupid.
I think that every game they give them an extra chain. So
I don't mind. I don't.
many.
If you're gonna make it a tradition and everyone's gonna do it, I'm on board. You know what I mean? That's okay. But if you just did it one time, Kirk Cousins looks dumb.
Absolutely, that's the point.
Doing that just looks dumb.
That's the point.
But if it's just because your teammate said, "Hey, I dare you to do this," and we're gonna video it, okay. I mean, I get it.
And then now they do it every time.
Yeah. So tradition is one thing. It's just it.
I think it's hilarious.
It is funny. It's just anyway. As a middle-sized white guy, I take this.
I think you just need more chains. Is all it is.
I should probably wear more chains. I should probably. I need.
I don't own a chain.
I need to.
I own enough chains to necessitate a whole rack.
I need probably 12 more to catch up because I don't have any. Okay, moving along. Chiefs 27, Jaguars 17. Patrick Mahomes was ridiculous in this one. 26 of 35, 331, 4 touchdowns. Here's a picture of Mecole Hardman levitating into the end zone. And then Dolphins 39, Browns 17. I don't know why I have this picture up. It looks like the Browns are dominating. That guy clearly hit,
it really does.
Raheem Mostert pretty hard, didn't he?
That is a Browns pro picture.
It was the best picture I could find, so it was fantastic. I mean, I like when people get smacked like that, so it was okay. But Tua Tagovailoa, 25 of 32, 285 and 3 touchdowns. He was ridiculous in his game too. Moving along, Saquon Barkley, the Giants 24, Texans 16. Barkley had 35 carries, 152 yards and 1 touchdown. It's good to see him running hard again.
Yeah,
I like Saquon Barkley. You know why? Because you don't hear anything about him.
Yeah, he's pretty quiet. He's pretty tame. He
goes about his business and he runs for touchdowns. I like.
Well, being fair. Well, all right. Let's rephrase that. Hear anything about him or hear from him?
Both.
I hear about him all the time.
About things he's done or about
him.
his what he has done.
Well, what I mean is like I hear Ezekiel Elliott's voice. He speaks and I have to listen because it comes across Twitter something like that. I don't hear Saquon Barkley talking. I don't hear Saquon doing too much going on. That's what I mean. So there's a difference there because I also don't hear Dalvin Cook.
It's true.
I don't hear Nick Chubb ever.
No, that's true.
But there are some guys that you hear from and some guys that you don't.
But they're guys that you like because because they're quiet, because they're not, it's not like, hey, I'm the greatest, look at me. He just goes about his business, he does what he does, and he's good.
I do love a quiet workhorse.
Right? And so those guys are good, although Dalvin Cook fumbles the football a lot. But hey, we'll talk about that later.
Let Dalvin fumble.
He's got a lot of fumbles.
Yeah, he does.
All right. So Giants win 24-16. Steelers come up with a win, against those Saints, right? Kenny Pickett.
There's that guy.
TJ Watt returns for the Steelers, right? Not that he did a whole lot. He wasn't super influential, but I'm sure it had something to do with the game plan for the New Orleans. Right? TJ Watt's over there. It's a different game plan, right?
Right.
But more importantly, Kenny Pickett played his first full NFL game with no interceptions.
Wow.
So hats off to Kenny Pickett.
That is honestly pretty impressive because, like, I try to remember, like, even my favorite quarterbacks, like Peyton Manning and things like that. You still throw picks. It still happens.
If you throw enough, you're going to throw a pick.
The goal is that you throw less than 10 a year and more than 20 touchdowns a year.
Right.
If you do those two things, you're probably having a decent year.
It's got to be 2 for 1. It's not like the Jameis Winston. Hey, I threw for 50, but I also gave up 50. Right? It's not.
I mean, I don't know. I think if I was a professional quarterback, I would take a 60 and 60 year.
Right. Well, I mean,
because to throw for 60 touchdowns,
interceptions is a lot of pick sixes.
60 touchdowns means that you're winning a lot.
Your
of
offense is
games.
scoring a lot, but you're also giving up a lot on offense because some of those are going to be returned for touchdowns.
Well, you're
60 interceptions.
Yeah, I would guess probably like a fifth or sixth of those would be returned for touchdowns.
Maybe 10% or
10%.
Yeah. Anyway,
still, I would take it because you'd set 2 records at once.
Struck out 18 batters, new league record. Walked 18 batters, also new league record. Yeah. How about Jeff Saturday and the Colts, huh? Colts win 25-20 against, a terrible Raiders team. Let's be honest.
Have you seen this tweet going around? Like 3 weeks ago, he tweeted, "Man, the Raiders look terrible."
Yeah.
And then he beats them.
And then he beats them in his first game ever as head coach.
He's like, "See, I told you."
Yeah, right. He's 1-0, and Matt Ryan returned as the starter. So that and not only that, but Jonathan Taylor ran for 147 yards and a touchdown. So none of that was hurting him. However, the Pollard Group has initiated an inquiry into the Jeff Saturday hire as interim head coach. If you don't know who the Pollard Group is, by the way, Fritz Pollard Alliance. I'm sorry. They're basically championing diversity in the NFL, and they want to take a closer look at it. Although the NFL has told them interim hirings are not subject to the Rooney Rule, so you don't have to bring in other candidates. You can hire whoever you want as an interim head coach. Anyway, long story short, they're upset about it because they went out and hired a white guy. So, I mean,
they're upset that they skirted the system that's in place.
That doesn't apply to the interim head coach.
Well, and that's the skirting part, right? Because next year you can just make him the permanent head coach.
Well, they still have to go through
right?
They still have to go through in order to make him head coach. You still have to go through all of the interview process with the other people. You can't just name him head coach.
Okay, but now you've got him. He's coached 6-7 games for you. It makes sense.
Yeah. All of a sudden he's 6-1. Yeah, I mean,
now your decision to
he knows
hire
the
him
system
is above reproach.
That's true. You're right. It is a sneaky backdoor way in, probably.
If you wanted to keep him.
Here's my thought, and this is just me talking. If they're not doing anything illegal, Washington Commanders, I'm pointing the finger at you. If they're not doing anything illegal, why is this private organization, and they're not publicly owned, why is it not okay for them to do whatever the hell they want? I understand the diversity thing. I get it. But if they think Jeff Saturday is the guy that's going to lead them to the Super Bowl, why are they not allowed to just take him? I don't understand that part. I'm all about the diversity and the openness, and I get it. But if in the end this is my company and this is the guy I feel is the CEO,
right?
Why is that not okay?
I think the reason is because, and this is just my speculation on a lot of things, is that we have entered a point where we believe fully that if you give billion-dollar organizations, billion-dollar owners, billion-dollar whatever it is, somebody with a lot of money, the complete unilateral freedom, they will do something shady with it.
I do like the term unilateral.
They will do something shady with it. Period. We don't trust those people to make good, smart, healthy decisions constantly. If you told a billionaire, okay, you don't have to follow any labor laws, we would like for you to, though. Would they?
Right.
No, they would not. They would absolutely not. They'd pay people pennies on the dollar to do the same work. Absolutely not. So there has to be some reign over a private organization, as you say, to keep them in line. Otherwise, they would just hire their buddies. They would just hire their buddies and say, you know what? We don't care about anything else.
I like the way you said private organization. Automobile.
That's the emphasis, though, is private organization versus a public organization, which would be scrutinized by its very nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
So, I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
We'll talk more about this one later when he becomes the permanent head coach.
He's not. Have you heard the theory floating around right now is that he's just filling in because they don't want to ruin somebody else's career and get sued the way Flores is suing the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so by saying to your buddy, hey, man, please come in here.
Yeah.
Just manage this team for the rest of the season. Yeah. So that way we can tank.
But they went out and beat the Raiders. You could have. It was a perfect opportunity to tank.
You still have to sell season
tickets. It was 25-20. You had a perfect opportunity to lose the game.
Also, you went out and beat the Raiders, who is a team that you're trying to compete with for tanking.
Right. So, You're now behind them in the tiebreaker.
Well, that just means they lost the tank. The Raiders tried harder to lose that game.
I don't know. And what are you tanking? What are you tanking for? Is it Bryce Young?
I would love to see like a Key and Peele sketch where two teams are trying to lose.
Yeah.
And they're like
opposite head coaches.
The one guy's like, no, come on, we're just going to take these delayed game penalties all the time. The other team's like, we don't even have our helmets.
We're taking a knee. That's it.
Just constantly trying to do one thing more.
One up in each other. Yeah.
We're going home.
One up in each other. We didn't even get on a plane.
Yeah, we're not gonna be there.
I don't know. So Indianapolis.
Can we take a forfeit? Can we give you a win?
Indianapolis with Matt Ryan and Jonathan Taylor on the field is a very good football team. You can say what you want. That is a
much
good
better
football team
than people want to give them credit for. And I feel like the Colts were trying to blame Matt Ryan for things that were happening with Jonathan Taylor being injured and a couple other injuries. And I feel like Jeff Saturday came in and said that's not the case.
It's hard.
We're not believing it.
Ask all those other teams. Ask the Giants how hard it is without Saquon. You know, I mean, you lose. Now they're 7-2 or whatever the hell they are. Anyway,
a healthy running back and a healthy quarterback is it's essential. Every team needs it.
Cardinals beat the Rams 27-17. Cooper Kupp left this game with an apparent ankle injury after 3 catches for -1 yards. By the way, the Rams are not good offensively, and they're struggling. They lost their best wide receiver in this game, and he's on the IR now. So it looks like about 4 weeks, give or take. By the way, this starting game was Colt McCoy versus John Wolford, right? I mean, that's a marquee matchup if I've ever heard one. That was
what we all tuned in to watch.
Ridiculous, and it lived up to that hype. By the way,
I'll tell you this: I believe in Sean McVay's ability to build offense, to create offense. So whatever is going on here, I'm feeling is personnel wise.
Yeah, it's got to be, and it's injuries. There's injuries too.
Yeah, they have a lot of injury issues, and they lost a couple linemen last year.
The Rams are in the same boat that the Chargers are in when the offensive injuries the bug starts hitting, and the offensive linemen are gone, and you don't have time to throw to anybody, and all your wide receivers are not there. It causes a problem. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. All right. How about the Packers? 31-28 over the Cowboys in overtime. Aaron Rodgers throws 3 touchdown passes to Christian Watson. And he did his best Tom Brady impression by yelling at Matt LaFleur on the sideline during the middle of the game. But
classic Rodgers.
Green Bay still needed Dallas to fail on a 4th down attempt with their first possession in overtime to get a chance to win this one. CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches for 150 and 2 touchdowns. He was brilliant for the Cowboys, but that's all they had. And the Packers looked like the Packers for a minute. And I don't know if that's carrying over because they're losing currently 27-17 in the 4th quarter to the Tennessee Titans.
Titans are one of the best defensive teams.
It's true.
In the league. So I'm not putting a ton of stock in the fact that they only have 17 in this game.
But it's to the point where you lose this game if you're Green Bay and you're 4-7.
They've had a pretty rough road here. I mean, they played the Giants.
Yeah.
They played the Jets.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, joke all you want about last year, but this year those are 2 winning teams, very good winning teams.
Sure.
Then they played Washington, 500. Then Buffalo. Then Detroit. Okay, that's their gimme, and they lost 15-9.
They lost.
And they lost 15-9.
Yeah.
And then Dallas. They played 6 really good teams in a row.
And I'll give you
Washington and Detroit being the 2 worst, and Washington's still a 500 team. So Jesus.
And I'll give you that, but they have the Packers heading into today had the least amount of points, second least, third least, something like that. Amount of points for. It's bad.
Behind who?
They just can't score. So
I know who the bottom is.
They're behind the Rams, right? They're behind the Broncos.
They're behind the Broncos.
Yeah, they're behind Pittsburgh.
Well, no, they're in front of the Broncos are the worst scoring offense in the nation.
Well, I mean, in terms of the race for the least amount of offense, they're behind them. I guess that's the way I wanted to phrase it. Anyway, so the Packers with a loss today, 4-7. They'll be 6 games behind the Vikings in the loss column with 6 games left to play. So the division's out.
It's a long road up.
Yeah, the division's out. Playoff game is still there.
Not unless people start tanking,
Yeah, a playoff position could still be there, but you got to get the Niners to lose a bunch of games, the Seahawks to lose a bunch of games, or the Cowboys to lose a bunch of games. I don't know. Anyway,
I'm just saying I've been keeping my eye on this game, and Christian Watson
is a
fantastic receiver, and Adam Lazard is hot garbage.
is hot.
Somebody take that man's helmet and gloves.
Lazard has 4 catches for 45 yards at this point.
He's probably dropped another. He's probably got 7 or 8 targets. He's dropped another 7 or 8.
Yeah, he has 10 targets for 4 catches.
Jeez.
Yeah. Watson has 4 targets, only 4 targets, but only 2 catches, both of them for touchdowns.
You know, no wonder Aaron Rodgers is slapping the desk every time Lazard drops the ball.
I don't know, man. Their team is in need of something. I still think they would like to have Adams back, but what do I know?
Hey, do you think I think Adams would like to go back?
I think he would, because I think the Raider experience is not what it used to be. Let's move on. Good night. Oh God, that picture's terrible, by the way. Just saying. Niners 22, Chargers 16. The injuries continue to mount up for LA. They have no wide receivers. They're coming back. I mean, I think they're both practice this week. But both Williams and Allen are both still out at this point. It still took every bit of defense the Niners had to win this game, even though the Chargers had no offensive line and nobody to throw to.
Chargers were struggling, and they still were doing all right.
And they bottled up Austin Eckler. They did everything they had to. The Niners did to win, but it looked like at any point the Chargers could make one play and still win this game, and they never did.
They never did.
That hit right there, by the way, was the one that drew a flag for a let's call it targeting. It's not targeting in the NFL anymore, but helmet
it's
contact.
Unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness. And I'm not sure that I'm 100% agreeing with it. He was trying to hit him with his shoulder, but I will tell you this. Both number 1 on the Niners and the guy that hit Justin Herbert, I don't remember who it was, but hit him square on. Neither one of them was trying to tackle him. They were both trying to hit him.
Greenlaw.
Yeah, they were trying to hit him. They're not trying. If you threw your arms out wide and you hit him like that, I'm okay with it. But if his
arms are pinned in tight,
yeah, he's trying to hit. He's trying to take the ball away from you. Is what he's trying to do. He's trying to put that big hit on you that, frees up the ball. That's what everybody does on defense anymore. There's no tackling involved, so it's a little frustrating when they don't call anything a penalty. But hey,
this is the first ejection I've ever seen for a helmet-to-helmet hit.
That was weird. I said the same thing when it happened. I was like, they're going to eject him for that, and I'm like, I get it.
They should.
They should.
I agree. Yeah,
but they've never done it before.
Better football, but yeah. Why now?
Why now? What was this a point of emphasis all of a sudden? I don't know.
This you mentioned this in the off season. We changed the rule, and then during the season, you start seeing it. But this just mid season to be like, you know what? That seems pretty malicious. We're going to go ahead and kick him out.
It was weird. It was weird that they kicked him out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Justin Herbert, but I was not a fan of them ejecting that guy.
No, I agree. And I got to be honest, the Chargers played well defensively. Christian McCaffrey had 38 yards on 14 carries. That's nothing. They couldn't run the ball, and they didn't throw the ball particularly well. They just the Chargers were so bad. And the Chargers still, even in like the fourth quarter, had a couple of possessions where if they'd just been able to complete a couple passes, they might have gone down in field goal range and things are different. But anyway, and then of course we got the capper, which was the Commanders 32, the Eagles 21, which we knew was coming. The Philadelphia loss, we just didn't realize it was going to be to the Commanders. And Taylor Heineke's excitement. And then of course there's the roughing the passer penalty on the Eagles late in the game, which it's the right call. I mean, he gave himself up. He's on the ground. You hit him. There's not much more you can argue about it, but it still was another one that looked weak. You know what I mean? Just felt weird to go, are they going to call that really? I don't know, but why would you not just keep Taylor Heineke in the game all the time? I feel like he's always lucky and he always does something good, but it's not true. I get it, but
I like Taylor Heineke. The guy's got guts.
He's got moxie. I don't know if that's the right term, but anyway. So the Eagles are now. The Dolphins had their champagne. The 72 Dolphins, because that was the last undefeated team to lose every year. But anyway, so there's that. So where does that leave us heading into Week 11? Is the question, right? And it leaves us confused. Is what it leaves us more than anything. And I'm gonna see if I can do this. So there's your AFC standings, right? Dolphins look pretty good. I'm not going to say they're great, but they look pretty good. They've won 4 straight since the concussion. 7-3. that AFC East looks like it's the best division in the AFC, top to bottom. But I'm not sold that the Patriots or the Jets are real contenders for anything. The Bengals have seemed to turn it around. They're 5-4. Anybody on this list that you see and you go, well, they're better than that record really indicates?
A lot of people. There's a lot of people on that list like that. I think the Baltimore Ravens should have 7-8 wins, despite they gave up a couple comebacks. I think the Tennessee Titans should have more losses. They've gotten kind of lucky.
Yeah.
I think the Colts should have more wins. I think the Chargers should have more wins. Yeah, there's a lot of people on this list who I think are doing much better. The Bills, they've dropped a couple here, but they're still a better team than most of these people. It's a very strange year, but you do know that there are a couple teams who are really good. And, I'm starting to feel like if the Dolphins do the Bengals thing and have a run through year where they do really well, is this going to be the new trend? Draft a quarterback, get one shot at a title, and then that's it?
Yeah. There's interesting to look at, statistics can lie. But it's interesting to look at these things, and I'm looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars as an example. 3-7 on the season. They have outscored their opponents at this point.
That means they're tanking.
I mean, how do you do that? Clearly you had a couple games where you won big in order to be ahead.
And a couple games where you've lost close.
Yeah, and you lose close games. So, it's interesting. But it's interesting to look at this. The NFC looks a little different in that, but it's still the East. The NFC East, everybody's 500 or better to include the Commanders. You got the Vikings, and you got the NFC South, which is dismal, and the NFC West, which is tepid, mediocre. What's the term I'm looking for?
Mediocre
at
lukewarm
best. The Niners probably are the best team in that division, but they've got to come out and start playing every game like that. So yeah. The Vikings are for real. I think the Vikings are going to be your conference champions. I think the Vikings are going to win the NFC. I don't know that they're going to do well in the playoffs when it's a one-game thing, winner take all. I have no idea. But, they play in a division that's kind of sucky. So you get the advantage of playing Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago twice each. So anyway, we'll find out more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where am I? I have no idea where I'm at. So
it's very interesting because you think about the Tennessee Titans are 6-3.
Yeah.
And the Broncos are the next team behind them in terms of point differential in the AFC.
Right.
It's insane. We know nothing this year. The Raiders were supposed to be a 10-win team,
right.
11-win team. The Chargers they look like they're on pace for 10 or 11, but who knows? That could get derailed at any moment. Worst point differential team is the Steelers in the AFC, minus 67. They're behind the Texans, who are 1-7.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're right in that we don't know a lot this year. The AFC or the NFC looks like it makes more sense. It looks very clean.
Right.
You can see the progression of worst to worst team
through
every step. The NFC looks that way. The AFC is just confusing.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's going to be exciting. We got 7 or 8 games depending upon which team you are left in the season. Right. So it's going to get hairy over the next 3 or 4 weeks. You're going to see a lot of interesting stuff. And don't forget, next week is Thanksgiving, and you're going to have 3 games on Thursday. So that'll be exciting if you're
can't wait to watch
fan.
The Cowboys.
Right?
Is it Cowboys Commanders on Thursday night?
Oh crap! You're going to ask me for the schedule. Here, I can pull it up. Look at this.
I didn't know if because they're no longer called the Redskins if they were still going to keep that motif going.
Oh, I see what you're saying for next week. Let's see. So it's Giants Cowboys.
Giants Cowboys. Okay, because they used to do Cowboys Redskins every.
Buffalo plays at Detroit.
Everything.
Giants plays at Dallas. New England at Minnesota. That might be an interesting game. Hey. And then how do you feel about them moving the game from Buffalo this weekend?
Oh, I'm not a fan of it. I think, all right. So it's one thing if you can't play.
Right.
I kind of get that. All right. I kind of get that. That's a heated field. I know that they can play unless they're saying it's going to be snowing 6 feet during the game.
Yeah.
That's a different story. That's you can't really combat that with some heaters underneath the field.
You'd think they'd be able to keep it up, though. I mean, keep it up with the snow. There'd be somebody there 24/7 clearing it off.
Know. If it's snowing 6 feet over the course of 4 hours, no. You don't.
Well, it's like 3 days, though.
So it's over 3 days, and it's going to be a problem. I don't love it, but I think that moving it isn't the worst idea, and it only emphasizes why all teams, and I get that weather's a part of it.
Yeah.
All teams, if you have a future plan for a stadium, it needs to be a dome. I think that should be an NFL mandate.
Maybe.
I don't believe that the NFL. I don't believe you should ever be able to cancel a game because the stadium you just built
can't handle
the weather that you live in.
Well, you start building them all like the Chargers, like SoFi, and
open on the ends.
Yeah, it's open on the ends, and you might still get some blowing snow coming in Buffalo.
Just the upper deck has got.
I mean, just that one end.
Stadium's great.
We don't really, that's where the cheap seats are. That's why you get cheaper tickets on that end.
It's because you're gonna have 6 feet of snow on your back.
On your back, yeah, that's right, blowing right on your neck.
I'm not a huge fan of it, but also I entirely understand it. Yeah. I would rather the game happen. I don't understand the moving it to Detroit, other than it's closest. Weird. But the Buffalo plays Detroit next week, so they have to play in Detroit 2 weeks in a row.
But they'll just stay there. They get a discount on the hotel rooms because they stayed longer.
Well, they just screwed over a Marriott somewhere who was expecting to have a week's break in terms of like, oh, we got all right. So they have these big roundups at hotels, and they're like, all right, we got an NFL team coming through today, and they're like, all right, guys, they're staying an extra week.
So we got to clean up the damn pool again. The sauna's a mess. Let's
a mess. The linemen were in there.
God dang it. Somebody wash those towels. Let's you know what? We've talked for an hour, and we're like halfway through this show. I just want to let that be known. So we gotta move a little quicker as best we can.
It can be done.
Okay. Second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. So Boss Kitty, be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com for knit-alongs, games, fun, exclusive sales. Go on the BossKittyShop.com website, get your kitty glitter yarn. Looking for a gift? Get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. Let's talk about the Oregon Ducks real quick. Who the number 6 ranked Oregon Ducks in the last week's college football poll. They blew a game at home to number 25 Washington. I feel like they should have won. I know Washington's a good passing team, and Oregon's pass defense is not very good, but they had opportunities to win this football game. The loss ended any chance of a college football playoff berth for the Ducks. Makes next week's game against Utah in Autzen Stadium a play-in game for the Pac-12 championship, which there are 2 of, by the way. The only 2 games next week involving 2 ranked teams are in the Pac-12. Oregon, Utah, wow. UCLA, USC. And they're both going to decide who plays for the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. We knew it was going to be a shootout. Michael Penix Jr. leads the NCAA in passing. He threw for 408 yards, and he did not disappoint. He is a good passer, but Oregon's defense is terrible. So how good is he? Their pass defense is terrible anyway. Oregon made some big mistakes in this game. Late in the game with the lead, stopping the clock when they didn't need to on an incomplete pass. Bucky Irving, right? 19 carries for 143 yards. And yet, down near the goal line late in the fourth quarter, we're not giving him the football. And I'm so confused by that. I don't even know where to really begin with that. Oregon went on a 20-play, 91-yard drive, right? They threw the football like 3 times. I'm sorry, it was 3 times. 2 of them to Chris Hudson that were completed passes, and then 1 later. The rest of them are all runs. So they ran the ball 16 times, threw the ball 3 times. But with 4 minutes left in the game and the lead, they threw the football on 2nd and 5 at the Washington 10 after Washington had called a timeout. If you just run the football at this point, Washington has to use their second timeout, right? It's 2nd and 5, and you've been running the football well all game. Why are you not running the football? And they didn't. So now it's 3rd and 5. Bo Nix has to run on the next. He runs on the next play, 2 yards to the Washington 8. They end up kicking a field goal, and they took a 7-point lead. Immediately give up. 3 plays later, they give up the 62-yard touchdown pass where one of the Oregon defenders just took a bad angle on a pass. That was just dumb. They get the ball back. Of course, now Bo Nix is hurt at this point. We didn't realize he was hurt, but now we realize all of a sudden he's not coming in this football game. So it's Ty Thompson.
Thompson.
Yeah, he's in the game. And what do they decide to do? Run the football. We're not even going to try throwing the football. We run for 3 yards, run for 3 yards, run for 3 yards, run for a loss of 1 yard on a play where Whittington slips and falls down on 4th and 1. And then, of course, Washington takes over in Oregon territory. They don't do anything with it but kick a field goal, and that's all they needed because they were already in field goal range. So, and then Oregon goes on a 7-play drive, but they only get 37 yards of it, and they can't really do anything with it. And anyway, long story short, Bo Nix had come back at that point, but Bo Nix was begging to come back the series before, and they wouldn't let him in. I don't know. A lot of mistakes made. Long story short, Ducks got to play for Pac-12 championship now. That's what they've got.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, we're playing for a Rose Bowl now.
Yeah. So hopefully.
That's the best you can do is to hope to play this number Michigan or Ohio State, whoever doesn't win that division or that conference. So that's what you're playing for now. I there's a lot to hate about that game.
Yeah.
But you gave up 400 yards of passing, and you lost by 3 points.
It's true.
That's kind of interesting. They beat you exactly the way you beat Oregon. Big, deep plays.
Yes, exactly.
You don't beat them in the red zone that much. You don't beat them marching down the field. You beat them on a single play of 70 or 60 yards that puts you in the end zone. Yep. That was what Washington has done well all year.
Right.
No surprise they did against Oregon. Yeah. Bo Nix getting hurt was the story of the game for Washington. It was the biggest aid Washington could have asked for. Mm-hmm. Was Bo Nix going down and having to sit out for a drive.
Yeah, if he stays in the game, their play calls are different.
Very different. They're throwing the ball. They're doing some other things instead of
mixing
4 runs.
Yeah.
It was a game that it didn't play against what Oregon does well until Bo Nix got hurt.
I'm going to say this. It was a visually appealing game. With the purple Washington and the yellow Oregon shirts. This is gorgeous
game.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh my gosh. That's why I hope that we do the green and orange game for Oregon State.
Well, and if you ever watch this week, you're coming up is UCLA USC, and I think they've all agreed that the USC red and the UCLA blue are out, and that's a beautiful game to watch.
That's a beautiful game.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So rest of the action from NCAA. Georgia, number 1 Georgia beats Mississippi State 45-19. Ho hum. Number right? I've got hey, whoa. What are you doing here? Number 2 Ohio State romps over Indiana 56-14. Number 3 Michigan 34-3 over Nebraska. Number 4 TCU does exactly what TCU does, which is win 17-10 over Texas, who is now 6-4 and isn't ranked, but they keep trying to rank Texas. They keep trying to tell me how good Texas is. They're not any good. When will someone learn that? Whatever. And then let's see, number 5 Tennessee 66-24 over Missouri. That was a shocker, huh? And then number 7 LSU struggled with Arkansas, a 500 Arkansas team. This is your SEC West champions, LSU, by the way.
Yeah.
Alabama beat Ole Miss. By virtue of that win, LSU wins the SEC West and is going to play for the SEC championship game against Georgia. So hold on to your hats. That is mayhem that could still happen, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Just hold your hat. That Alabama-Ole Miss game was another game. Alabama could have lost that game. Alabama could easily be 7-3 at this point. You know, Alabama doesn't look like the Alabama teams of old. They don't look dominant. They look like they could lose to anybody. I mean, not anybody, but you know. Yeah.
They look like they're you can lose to a decent team.
Right. Anyway, other than that, we had Clemson, number 10 Clemson 31-16 over Louisville. Wait, that's not number 10 Clemson. That's number 8 USC 55-17 over Colorado. And then that is Travis Dye leaving the field after a season-ending injury. Former Oregon Duck Travis Dye. I feel bad for him, but that's what you get for going to USC. Oh, was that out loud?
It'd be like that.
And then, of course, Clemson with their there's the Alabama game. How are these all out of order? Oh, because Alabama's number 9. There you go. Yeah. There's a nice face masking penalty right there. Another one.
They're all in order. So
Jackson. Yeah, they were in order, and I wasn't following the order. Jackson Dart, by the way, getting his head turned around backwards a little. And then there you go. Clemson has nice looking uniforms when they wear the purple. I'm not gonna lie. I like the purple uniforms. That's what I.
Yeah.
And then UCLA, of course, dropped a big one to Arizona. 34-28, just ahead of the USC game. So Utah won their game, 13th ranked Utah 42-7 over Stanford, because Stanford is terrible too. Anyway, that's all we're going to talk about. The new AP poll, I don't have that up here. Hold on. Do I have that up here? What have I got? I've got this. Not AP poll, but I got the college football poll. So let's get that up, right? Because you want to see that. So this is the new college football poll for this week. So Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee. Same 5 as it was before. LSU, USC, Alabama, Clemson all move up a notch because Oregon lost. Utah is now 10, Penn State's 11, Oregon's now at 12, North Carolina there. And you see the second page here, which is irrelevant, kind of. None of these people actually have a chance to do anything. Actually, none of the people outside of the top 9 or 8, 9 at most, have a chance to get anywhere. If you've got 2 losses at this point and you're not LSU, you're probably not making it to the college football playoff. So, yeah, I think that's fair to say. And if the problem is Ohio State and Michigan got to play, one of those teams is going to lose.
Right.
So we're going to have some shakeup. Is it going to be enough to put Tennessee in? Tennessee doesn't get to play in a championship game, so they don't get to make another statement win. But LSU has a chance. But in order to do that, they got to beat Georgia, and that would shake it up even further. It'll be interesting down the stretch. I fully anticipate Georgia's going to win out, and Ohio State will win out. TCU doesn't have a choice but to win out because their conference is not that good. So there's 3 in, and then they'll either take Michigan or Tennessee. It depends.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
Depends on how bad Michigan loses to Ohio State. Unless USC dominates UCLA and then dominates either Utah or Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. And by dominate, I mean like 50-0. USC could make that kind of a statement, but I doubt it.
Is there a case that Oregon State can get to the Pac-12 title game?
I don't think so, standings-wise.
Okay. I didn't know where they were. I know they're a little farther down the division, so they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in the division.
That's good luck.
So if Oregon beats Utah, so they would have to win their last 2 games. Oregon would have to beat Utah, then lose to them. No, there's no chance.
Yeah,
there's no chance.
Yeah, Oregon State's
they've got 3 conference losses.
Their losses are to the wrong people too. So
they would need Oregon to lose the next 2 games.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
And Utah to somehow lose the next 2 games also.
Yeah, it can't happen. So
yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Anyway, I don't know.
Impossible. But Oregon has a chance, and so they're in 12th right now, right? They're not going to make the college football playoff, but looking ahead at where they could end up in the standings,
right?
They have a chance to beat, number 10 Utah.
Yep.
And then turn around and play number 20-something Oregon State, assuming they're still number 20-something.
Yep.
And then play number 8
or 7 or 6
or 6 USC.
Right. If they win.
You could be looking at, if enough chaos happens, Oregon will be right there on the edge.
5 or 6.
I don't think they'll get back in.
Yeah,
they'll
5
be
or
right
6
at 5
is where
6.
I think they'd be.
If they make through the next 2 games, 10 and 20-something, well, my guess is Oregon State's going to win this weekend. They'll probably be high teens.
Yeah.
So you're going to make through 10 and 19. You're probably going to be back in the top 10.
If Maryland could beat Ohio State this weekend.
Oh, come on. Let's get chaos.
If that
I need Georgia to drop a game this weekend. I need Tennessee to drop a game this weekend.
If South Carolina could beat Tennessee. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things. If those 2 things were to happen, yeah, anything's possible.
Pure chaos that sends Bama right back to 1.
If Kentucky beats Georgia this weekend, somehow.
Hey, stranger things have happened.
If that were to happen and then Georgia goes into the SEC championship game and loses another game.
But LSU also loses this weekend.
But LSU loses this
weekend. And then wins that game.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen. Illinois is 7-3 playing at Michigan. Who knows?
I want chaos. I want carnage.
It would be nice.
College football world.
It would be cool if the top 4 all lost this week.
My guess, best case scenario, Oregon wins out. They probably fall somewhere around 5 or 6.
Yeah, they're going to be.
They're going to be, but with not even a prayer to get in. It's a 5 or 6 totally out
for sure.
So probably 6, because I'm guessing there's going to be a team that deserves to be in who isn't, like an Ohio State or a Tennessee who's going to be looking in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but we'll see.
Hey, what do you think of the Portland Trailblazer jerseys?
I couldn't have bought mine faster.
You like that, the blue?
Gorgeous. It's PDX carpet.
I know it's cool. It's cool.
It's cool.
It is cool. It's interesting to watch a team that I mean, and then Lillard's got the same colors in his shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool.
It's interesting to watch a team when that's not their team color.
Right. It is. It's kind of cool.
In basketball, where you play 82 games and you rotate jerseys, we have 3 jerseys that are the colors.
Right.
A full red, a white, and a black. So we have 3 that are very much the colors. And then why not do one that's...
I like it. The carpet
that's
makes
an
sense.
honor type thing,
Yeah.
I dig it. They this is the same jersey they did plaid one year and that they did in brown one year with the Oregon script on it.
Brown was
that was
ugly.
so awful.
That was ugly.
What makes a brown jersey?
I mean, Nike.
Look at you, Central Michigan.
Look at me.
Wait, is it Central Michigan? Wait, who?
Western Michigan. That's
Michigan.
Brown. Yeah. Looking at you, Wyoming. Yeah.
It's at this point you have a chance to redeem yourself. Just change to any other color.
Who has dark dog turd brown as their color?
I feel like I can picture like somebody picking out brown as like a school color, and they're like walking through like a surplus sale, and they're like, "What about that little pile of stuff over there?" They're like, "Oh, the garbage, that stuff's getting thrown away." They're like, how much you want for that? Like, you want to buy that?
But it's a discount, right?
So the discount, right? Yeah, we'll take the brown.
The
brown yellow.
The Trailblazers are now 10-4, lead the Western Conference standings, and they're playing Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets tonight at the Moda Center. Currently, Blazers lead 69-66 or somewhere in that ballpark with about 6.5 minutes left to go in the third. So we'll see how it goes. Durant's got 19 at this point. Lillard with 17. The Blazers are playing pretty good basketball. They beat the San Antonio Spurs on Tuesday night, 117-110. The game was close the whole way, and really, if you look at the stats, it's statistically even, except that Portland shot 46.9% from three-point range to San Antonio's 31. So, which I kind of think all NBA games come down to anymore. It's offensive rebounds and or three-point shooting is what determines who wins a basketball game in the NBA. Is the offense lazy and doesn't get offensive rebounds, or are they active, get offensive rebounds and second shots for the team that, if they miss? And are they just hot and hitting every three-pointer they throw up? If they're hot and hit it's hard to beat a team that's hitting every three-pointer. Anyway, that's just me going off on basketball, the state of basketball. We didn't even talk about the carrying thing. Portland held San Antonio to 4 points in the last 7 minutes, basically, of the fourth quarter, which is amazing defense. Jeremy Grant led the Blazers 29 points and 8 rebounds. Anthony Simons, 23 points. Damian Lillard with 22 and 11 assists. Jakob Poeltl. Say that 10 times really fast. He's from Utah, by the way.
Jakob Poeltl.
Led the Spurs with 31 points and 14 rebounds. And the Spurs outscored Portland 66-46 in the paint in this. And Portland still won. It was a good win for Portland. Those close games, they played a lot of them, a lot of buzzer beaters, a lot of close things that have happened. Those are all going to pay benefits later in the season when you've got that experience of being in close playoff type games. I feel like they've been really good. I don't know. How do you feel about Portland at this point?
Cautiously optimistic.
That's probably right. I mean, that's probably fair.
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm happy to see them doing well. They keep having close games. They had three buzzer beaters in these first 12 games or 10 games or whatever it is. That's a little nerve-wracking.
They're winning though. As long as you win the close games, that's a
but
positive.
Eventually that catches up with you. It does for every team.
You would think
it does. It will eventually. Okay. So I want to win games more cleanly, but that's why a big defensive performance against the Spurs was so encouraging.
It was
to see like you weren't doing well or you were doing okay and you were keep sticking in there, and then you said we got to clamp down, and then you did.
Yeah.
And you continue to produce while clamping down, and it led to a big win. I think that's really good. I believe they're going to end up in like a 2-3 seed.
Yeah.
But the rate they're going, if it continues, if this is real, by about 40 games, I'll make a final determination on whether it's real or not.
Sure.
It's about halfway through the season. I'll be like, yeah, they're legit. This is who they are. This isn't just like we're riding a high. We're a new team with a new scheme, so we're kind of exposing people right now.
Right.
It's literally I will believe it then, but right now cautiously optimistic.
I like that because I think that's kind of the way every Blazer fan feels about the Blazers at this point. Is that you guys have done this to me before, and
I've been hurt before.
I've been burned before. It's too early for me to get into a relationship now. I don't know.
But those jerseys, though.
Those jerseys, the uniform looks good. That's a good clean look. And with the shoes, I mean, what's up with them shoes?
The teammates.
Portland tonight is shooting 44% from 3-point land. If you can do that, shoot over 40% from 3-point range, your team has a good chance to win.
I bet you can look right now into our losses, our couple of losses, and you can see that we're shooting probably sub 38% from three.
I'll challenge.
It's the league. It's the way our league is built, is around a high 3-point shooting team. It's very rare that you end up in a game where you're shooting well from three and lose.
They shot 42% against the Dallas Mavericks and lost. So it was right.
No,
that was the last loss. 41.9.
What was the final score of that game?
117-112.
It's a freaking shootout. It's a dadgum shootout. I don't want to hear it.
You're the one who brought it up, so I'm going to go back. So let's go back to the last loss before that. It's the Phoenix Suns. Portland shot 46.7% from 3-point land, but they only shot 30%. But they only shot 30% field goal percentage.
Oh, I remember that. I was like, I don't understand.
They couldn't hit a layup, but they hit everything from three. That's just it. Portland's going to be that one that is defying all of that logic. The Grizzlies before that, 111-106. Portland shot 39.4. Memphis shot 46.4 from the 3-point range. Still not bad. It's almost 40, but they got outshot in the field goal percentage, and they turned the ball over 20 times.
Okay. Well, foot in mouth.
But I think Portland might be the exception to your rule, because I think you're right about that in terms of how games normally go. I mean, if you don't shoot your 3 points well, you lose games.
Well, and also that's historically Portland. Like every time you would look at a Portland game in the last 9-10 years, you would go, they must have had a bad 3-point shooting night,
right?
Because they lost and whatever. This is me basing on historic Portland. Maybe I need to stop doing that and think that, hey, they'll always do well from three, but those layups can be a challenge.
Portland, by the way, 78-71 with 4 minutes to go in the third over the Nets. So. Woo. Yeah, hey, another win, and they're all alone in first place. Not even just like tied. Portland looks good. I mean, they look good.
They look surprisingly good.
There's a lot of team players on this thing. I mean, and Jeremy Grant has been ridiculously good, in my opinion. Shaedon Sharpe.
He's been incredible.
Shaedon Sharpe has looked good.
It's so funny. I used to get and he's been on the show before, my buddy AJ, but I used to get in arguments with him because when we were drafting players, when we drafted Shaedon, I was like, I don't know, man. I'm not buying it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're a hater. And I'm like, and that's what anytime I have a criticism of the Blazers, it's you're a hater. And it's like, no, I want to be wrong.
We're
very much so.
We've been burned so many times by the Blazers.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to be wrong. Yeah. Really want to be wrong. And this is one of those ones where I'm very happy to be wrong.
Yeah,
he's doing great.
Yeah.
He didn't start super great over the first 3 games, I think it was. But then after that, my gosh, they started using him. I don't know if they used him differently or just gave him more time, but man, he got there.
Sharpe has 15 points in 11 minutes in this one on 6 of 7 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3-point range with 2 rebounds.
Woo!
I know, right? He is a plus 10 on the day if you go with plus minuses, if you like that stuff.
Some people hate plus minuses. Have you ever met those people? They're like, it doesn't mean anything. I'm like, yeah, it does.
Here's the example of why this doesn't mean anything. Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
Okay. Justice Winslow has played 14 minutes in this basketball game. He has not shot a shot. No field goals, no 3 points, no free throws. He has 1 rebound and 3 assists. His plus is 15.
Yeah.
He's just, he's playing defense, I'm sure.
He's the hockey assist guy.
Yeah, but he's
the pass to a pass. He hasn't get normally counted for.
He hasn't done anything. Go ahead.
That's what the plus minus is for. It helps you grade people who don't just have a high shot count.
I get it. It's just weird.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
You don't think I don't know, man. I'm going to tell you that the hold on, let me find it because it was hilarious. Let me find the stat line. Drew Eubanks is who I'm talking about.
Fantastic.
Drew Eubanks played in the game against Houston, right? So they beat Houston in October, 125-111. He played 14 minutes and he scored 10 points, 4 of 4 from the floor, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, right? Hit every shot he took. He had a rebound and assist. But he also had 4 personal fouls in 14 minutes.
Yeah.
That is a lot of personal fouls to pick up in 14 minutes. It is, you have to go out of your way to get 4 personal fouls in 14 minutes.
All right.
But it's those kind of stat lines when I read them and I go, what the hell were you doing out there? He was shooting and making shots and just hammering people. So, I don't know.
All right. Let me ask you a question then real quick. All right. And it's a quick trivia question for you.
Sure.
Who are the top 5 historical players for box plus minus?
Ooh, in the NBA?
In the NBA.
Top 5.
Historical all time. So
Michael Jordan.
Active or current. Michael Jordan's number 1. Absolutely. 9.21.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant is not in the top 20.
Okay. I would say LeBron James, but I'm not sure.
LeBron James is 3.
Okay.
8.82.
Magic Johnson.
Number 4, 7.54.
So I've got 3 out of 4.
You got 3.
I
asked for the top 5.
I know, but I guessed the guy, and he was wrong.
Yeah. You've gotten 3 out of 4 so far. Yeah.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird is number 7, 6.89.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 more guys here in the top 5. Who do you think?
Plus minus guys. Dennis
I'll give
Rodman.
you one. Dennis Rodman. He is not in the top 20 either.
That's weird.
One of them played for the Spurs. Classic player for the Spurs.
Which one?
One of those 2.
Let's go with Tim Duncan.
Oh, it was the other one.
Oh, David Robinson?
David Robinson, 7.47 at number 5.
I was going to say Manu Ginobili when you said
and
that.
number 2 on this list is a recent MVP winner.
Recent MVP winner?
Yep.
No. Okay. Nope, I don't know. I don't.
Nikola Jokic.
Oh, Jokic makes sense.
8.95. Yeah. So it's Jordan,
13.
Jokic, James, Johnson. Wow, the first 4 have J names.
I got 3 of them. I was pretty good.
And Robinson. Yeah, you did pretty good.
I feel pretty good about that.
That's surprising to me that Jokic is number 2.
Yeah, Jokic is definitely a surprise to me. I would have thought somebody like Larry Bird or Kevin McHale back from the Celtics days would have been higher.
You start steering down the list, and it's Chris Paul, Larry Bird, Kawhi Leonard, John Stockton's number 9.
Dennis Rodman's one of those guys you think would be on that list because he creates things. I mean,
Julius Erving's 13, Abdul-Jabbar's 17, Tim Duncan's 18. Yeah. There's a lot of guards in here, or a lot of bigger guys in here because they affect defensively too. So, but figured that was kind of fun.
All right, nice. I like that. All right, let's talk about the last 2 things because we can.
Right on.
The Kraken are 8-5-3 on the year. 19 points, good enough for 3rd in the Pacific Division. They're tied with the Jets, the Winnipeg Jets, for 4th in the Western Conference. Seattle lost to Winnipeg on Sunday night, 3-2 in overtime. They haven't had a game until tonight, by the way. And they are taking on the New York Rangers over there at the Climate Pledge Arena. It is 1-1 at the end of the second period, Kraken and the Rangers. So they're playing well. I mean, this is not the same team we saw last year that lost every damn thing. I mean,
they were tanking last year.
What do you think? Maybe to get another draft pick? I mean, they could have been.
Is that how tanking works in hockey?
Can you tank in your first year and just say, oh, we're going to be bad, so we know we're going to be bad, so let's just tank already? Yeah. I mean, I suppose. I like the Kraken. I like the Kraken uniforms with the teal.
So it was funny because they came out with these things that were called the reverse retro jerseys, which is what these are.
Yeah, these are nice.
And it was basically like old, new, inspired, and I'm like, well, you can't get older than 1 year.
these are retro from last year.
These are reverse retro Kraken jerseys. Yeah, so kind of. Yeah, the Avalanche ones have a big C, like Colorado C on the front, and everyone's got something different. It's kind of cool, but I do like. I was saying last year that they needed to do a full jersey in the lighter kind of greenish, bluish, whatever turquoise color, whatever that is.
Pretty.
Yeah, it looks really good.
The good looking uniform. I like the Kraken. I'd like to go over and watch a game one day when the ticket prices come down. I don't know when that's going to be.
I don't know if they do well this year.
It's ridiculous.
It won't happen.
They were so high last year. It was you couldn't afford to go to a hockey game, and I'm like, this is the worst team in the league, and the tickets are still $80 a piece. This is dumb.
That's right.
It's inaugural season. I get it, but I mean, you gotta. Anyway, we'll see.
They should have given every Washington resident
a free
opportunity.
Yeah,
one opportunity to claim one game.
Yeah, I agree. And then
create fans for life.
I would drive through the snow. I'd drive over the Crappy Pass. I'd do all that. Yep, not a problem. I'm there. But
is that what it's officially called, the Crappy Pass?
Well, I mean, it's not officially.
It's not a great pass,
but it's not. In the wintertime, it's not the best place to be because if it isn't nasty weather, they're probably clearing avalanche stuff and they close down the road anyway. So even though there's not an accident, they're closing it to clear off the avalanche danger, and then you're stuck for 6 hours waiting for them to finish up. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So you can do that, or you can go over the other one on 12, on Highway 12. You can go over White Pass, and that's as some people in our family have put it, is pee your pants pass.
Pee your pants pass
because of the cliff drop off on one side. It's just, there's just nothing but a big old drop off. So,
I like that. It's a fun name for it.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's I guess that's the end of that. 2022 Men's World Cup soccer obviously starts Sunday. Men's national team plays Wales in the first group stage match Tuesday the 22nd. Game is at 11 a.m. on Fox. The U.S. has Iran, England, and Wales in Group B. It's a group they should be able to finish at least second. Depends on how well they play against England. That's second game, and by the way, that's on Black Friday. That is Friday the 25th when the United States plays England. So that'll be an exciting game. But anyway, most of their games, I think all of the U.S. games are at 11 a.m. So it's good when you own the TV networks. The United States can control when the games are on TV.
Yeah, let's put that a USA game on a little later, huh?
I'm just saying, don't show it at 2 a.m. like the other games, like Germany.
Anyway. F1. We'll be like those F1 guys showing our drama at 2 a.m.
5 a.m. Who's watching Formula 1? I can't even pronounce anybody's name at 5 a.m. Anyway, so I think that's really all I have. Oh, trivia question. Let's go back to the trivia question. So
11.
We have the trivia. What'd you say, 11?
11.
Was that your answer? Was that the answer from before? I didn't write it down.
That's the same answer I said earlier.
Are you sure?
You can replay.
I feel like you're not right. We are. We'll replay it later and figure it out. Trivia question was, what's the record for goals scored in an international competition match by one team?
Yeah, I said 11.
And it was World Cup qualifying in 2001. 11 is not anywhere near the answer.
Is it much higher or much lower?
Much higher.
Really?
Much higher. So,
let's go with 27.
On April 11th, 2001, Australia beat American Samoa 31-0 in World Cup qualifying. 31-0. Archie Thompson of Australia scored 13 goals by himself. Which is the record for a game.
Did they have anyone on the field?
Oh yeah, they had a team on the field, but I mean, it didn't really matter.
Might as well not have.
I mean, 30. There's 90 minutes in a soccer game. 31 goals mean you scored a goal under 3 minutes every 3 minutes, which is ridiculous.
I'm going to go ahead and say that if you're looking at this, you say we're investigating American Samoa soccer
for tanking.
Team for somebody who made bets
all right
on Australia to score 30 plus.
30 goals, yeah. Who would have bet that, though? I mean, if you had a soccer game on the schedule, would you have bet someone would score 30 goals? Or two teams combined would score 30 goals? No.
Not unless you get everyone on your team to agree and everyone to make bets in different places.
I guess that's the right thing.
Even if you just say, because you couldn't say 30 plus, that would sound suspicious. You'd say 15 goals. People would be like, I'll take your money.
That's a lot of goals.
That's a lot of goals, bud.
Of goals.
I said 11 thinking, man, that's high.
And come to find out, I didn't read the whole story, but apparently 13 goals is not, it's the most scored in a game of soccer, a competitive match of soccer, but he's not the only person to do it. There's other people that have scored 13 goals. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. They weren't international competitions, but they were league games.
So what is the most scored? And we can do this on the next show, but what's the most scored in a World Cup match? Not a qualifying, an actual match. That's what I would like to know. I'm going to guess it's probably 5 or 6 or hell, 27 or 31.
Okay.
Apparently.
Let me just...
You think you can get the information that fast?
I can, and I did.
Wow.
So I have the record here. And it's 12.
Hey, I said I had 11.
Austria 7, Switzerland 5 in 1954.
Oh, no, I meant by one team.
Well, okay, so you want one team's goals.
Well, that's what this question was.
Okay, so
qualifying one team.
I have it.
Okay.
So that's Hungary. Hungary beat El Salvador 10-1 in June of 1982.
Oh, I said 11.
10 goals is a lot.
I'm just saying 11 was really close if it wasn't qualifying.
And by the way, Hungary's been involved in 2 of the highest scoring games, total of 11 goals. That 10-1 win over El Salvador and an 8-3 win over West Germany in '54. So two of the four highest scoring games of all time in World Cup.
Well, the West Germans.
Those damn Hungarians. And by the way, also they beat the Korea Republic 9-0 in June of 1954. Apparently Hungary was the team in 1954. I don't know.
Huh.
But there was a lot of big games in 1954. A lot of heavy scoring. West Germany beat Turkey 7-2. Yugoslavia over Zaire 9-0. These are all 19.
They started juicing the ball.
Yeah, juice. That was the steroid era right there.
From midfield.
For sure. Absolutely. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. You got anything
That's pretty
else?
good.
You got a minute? You got anything you want to talk about?
Not.
Yeah,
no.
we've gone long.
We said we went really long.
We've gone really long, but that's okay. We had a lot to talk about. That Formula One and the NFL killed us. Just saying. There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Formula One was so fun.
Stupid Formula One. By the way, the trivia question brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, open 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. They do have heaters on the patio. I know it's winter. I get it. The downtown tasting room is open 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. You can call the tasting room downtown 541-490-9461, or you can call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750, or email them info@Stave & Stone for more information or to make reservations. Stave & Stone is the winner of 2 gold medals in Sunset Magazine's 2022 International Wine Competition. So that's our sponsor of the trivia question. So there you go, right? Whew.
It's not bad.
I know. Hey, I'm getting good at breezing through these things. We want to, so I guess I should probably turn on, is it that one? Do we want that one?
That's classic.
Oh, yeah, hold on. So these are your votes. That one? This one?
Is there a third one?
Well, yeah, there's a third one.
What's the third one?
Hold on.
Oh, that's the one.
Is that the one?
That came on strong, yeah.
That's the one we go out with? Right? I agree. I feel like it's a good thing. We're on YouTube every week. We are on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. We didn't even talk about Twitter and Elon Musk and the whole thing, which is not really in our our area of expertise, but nothing that we talk about really is.
Yeah.
To be honest, we could talk about anything on here. So next week, all about economics and Twitter. And then sports economics, though, right? Because that's what we know.
Sportsonomics.
You can email us slamsports@gmail.com, and we're on the Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show, and go to the website www.lambsports.com. We want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, CBS Sports, MLB, MLS, NFL, NCAA, NHL, Formula One, and of course our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. We want to thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week.